What would you do if you were the most powerful person on earth? If nothing could stand in your way? If every desire could be fulfilled with a single command? How would you choose to live? Nearly 2,000 years ago, one man answered that question, not with words, but with his life. His name was Marcus Aurelius, Emperor of Rome, commander of the greatest army of his time, a ruler whose decisions could alter the fate of millions. Luxury was never a privilege to him. It was simply a consequence of his power. He could have spent every night surrounded by endless feasts. He could have devoted his fortune to pleasure without limits. Like so many rulers throughout history, no one could have stopped him. But Marcus Aurelius chose a different path, because his greatest battle was never against foreign armies. It was against his own mind. Despite being the most powerful man in Rome, he devoted his life not to indulgence, but to reflection, self-mastery, and the pursuit of virtue. He wrote down his thoughts, not for the world to read, but as private reminders to himself. Centuries later, those personal notes would become one of history's most influential philosophical works, a book we now know as Meditations. To this day, it remains one of the defining texts of Stoicism. The Stoics believed that nearly everything in life could be divided into just two categories: what we can control and what we cannot. At first glance, it seems almost too simple. Yet within that distinction lies one of the most profound ideas in philosophy. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus expressed it with remarkable clarity. Most things are not up to us. The people around us, the economy, our careers, our health, what others think of us, even the body that will inevitably grow old. We may influence these things. We can make wise decisions. We can work hard. We can do everything within our power. But no matter how carefully we plan, we can never guarantee the outcome. The strongest economy can collapse. The happiest relationship can come to an end. The healthiest body can become ill. To the Stoics, this wasn't a reason for despair. It was the beginning of freedom. Because there was still something that truly belonged to us: our thoughts, our choices, and the attitude we take toward whatever life places before us. A person may be diagnosed with a serious illness. That is not their choice, but how they respond to that illness. Whether they meet it with fear or with courage, that choice remains entirely their own. For the Stoics, true power was never about controlling the world around you. It was about mastering the world within. That is why they never encouraged people to suppress their emotions. Instead, they taught us to understand them. Fear, anger, anxiety. All of them are part of being human. But whether those emotions control us or whether we learn to observe them is a choice. Just as waves do not define the ocean, temporary emotions do not define who we are. They arrive, they remain for a while, and eventually, they pass. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself of this every single day. Each morning, before facing the world, he prepared his mind with a simple thought. Today I shall meet people who are selfish, ungrateful, arrogant, dishonest, and cruel. It didn't make him pessimistic. It made him prepared. It allowed him to accept reality before it unfolded. The Stoics practiced another exercise as well: Memento Mori. Remember that you will die. At first, those words may sound unsettling, but the purpose was never to fear death. It was to remember the value of life. Because once we truly accept that our time is limited, petty arguments, the need for approval, temporary frustrations begin to lose their power over us. Another Stoic practice is known as the view from above. Imagine looking down upon yourself from far beyond the earth. Cities become tiny, people disappear, problems grow silent, and suddenly, you realize that many of the burdens you carry are far smaller than they once seemed. Perhaps this is Stoicism's greatest lesson. Life will never give us complete control over what happens, but it will always leave us with one thing we can control: ourselves. And perhaps true freedom begins the moment we stop trying to master the world and begin learning to master our own minds. Thanks for watching.